Produces Rogers, meteorologist Cecily Tynan, and Jim Gardner.
This was the scene late this afternoon at Joint Base Andrews. Joe and Jill Biden arriving on a private plane to begin the most important journey of their lives. After 36 years as a senator and 8 years as vice president, Joe Biden will be inaugurated president of the United States tomorrow. And the size of the motorcade accompanying the Bidens to Washington shows that in just a few hours, this son of Delaware will be the most powerful man in the world. We will have the latest on the Bidens and their arrival and send-off from Delaware in just a few moments. But first, our big story on Action News tonight is the new COVID vaccine scale for Pennsylvanians. But careful to note, the age requirements are different for Philadelphians. If you're 65 to 74 in Philadelphia, you're going to have to wait a while longer. Action News reporter Jaclyn Lee has the full story.
Well, hospital officials at Mainline Health want to clarify that while they do have vaccination sites, you cannot just walk in. It is not open to the public. They say it is by appointment only. And officials say that they are working with other healthcare systems to make sure everyone can receive their vaccine directly through their healthcare provider. Big changes are coming to Pennsylvania's vaccine rollout. Aside from healthcare workers and long-term care residents, people age 65 and older and those with high-risk conditions can now get the vaccine.
You will schedule an appointment directly with that provider. We have contact information for all of our vaccine providers on the interactive map.
But it's a different story in the city. Only those 75 and older and those with high-risk conditions are now eligible. Dr. Thomas Farley says the age group is different because more people in the city have medical conditions and are vulnerable.
We want to make sure that they have early access to vaccine and somebody who is 65 and healthy maybe shouldn't be in front of them in line.
Dr. Farley says this will allow an additional 223,000 people to be vaccinated, but he says the city's only allocated 20,000 vaccine doses total per week through the end of February. He says it will take a while to get through everyone. Mayor Jim Kenney says he has hope for the vaccine rollout now that Joe Biden will soon be president.
The lineup I've seen coming into government this week, we're going to have just a natural increase and improvement in this whole system.
And for those of you in Philadelphia, Dr. Farley says to sign up and show that you are interested in receiving a vaccine, there will be a city website published in the next few days. He says do not sign up with the website COVID Ready, which was created by the nonprofit Philly Fighting COVID. He says that is not official. In Wynwood tonight, Jaclyn Lee, Channel 6, Action News.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy said that the state is improving when it comes to inoculating people. As of this morning, the state has vaccinated 388,160 people. New Jersey started vaccinating people 65 and older, plus high-risk patients, last week. Delaware is also transitioning its COVID-19 vaccination plan. Starting tomorrow, people 65 and older will be eligible to get the first shot. Delaware plans to offer large vaccination events and an appointment request system in the coming weeks.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
What a somber, poignant moment it was on the National Mall just a short while ago to honor the more than 400,000 Americans who have died of COVID-19. President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris and their spouses attended the National Memorial at the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. Meanwhile, Biden and his wife Jill received a send-off today from their beloved state of Delaware. Biden said the state gave him a chance when it elected him senator when, in his words, he was just a kid. Action News community journalist Beccah Hendrickson has more on Biden's last moments in Delaware before he becomes president.
This is not only a proud moment for President-elect Joe Biden, but for so many people in his home state. He will be the first president from Delaware, and he was very emotional in his send-off.
Excuse the emotion, but when I die, Delaware will be written on my heart.
The president-elect said goodbye at the National Guard Reserve named for his late son, Beau. He said the state has always loved his family, and he loves it back. As he left for the White House, his supporters swelled with pride.
Joe doesn't think about who voted for him, who didn't vote for him, who's a Democrat, who's a Republican, what race you are, what gender, sexual orientation. None of that matters to him. He's trying to do good for you.
Some thought this day would never come.
I'm an immigrant, and when you talk about America and the fluid transition of power, you don't normally see that where I'm from. You know, there's always chaos.
Biden's inaugural theme is America United, and part of how he plans to showcase that is with a virtual parade of all 50 states. Representing Pennsylvania will be this Boy Scout troop, whose video includes running up the Rocky Steps.
It felt nice, especially knowing that I'm going to see my face on the TV later.
Delaware's performers come from the Chinese American Community Center, who recorded a dance.
The diversity, the showcase of our culture, I'm just so honored and so excited.
One of the only in-person performances will be from the University of Delaware drumline, which will lead President-elect Biden to the White House.
Being able to perform for him as he's becoming the President of the United States was a huge, amazing opportunity.
Before leaving Delaware, Biden told his neighbors he's proud to show off his home.
I know these are dark times, but there's always light. That's what makes this state so special. That's what it taught me.
It's a particularly proud moment for the people who work in the county building behind me. Joe Biden was in city council there in the 70s. In Newcastle, Beccah Hendrickson, Channel 6 Action News.
President Trump has released an almost 20-minute tape, which will stand as his farewell address. The president touts what he considers to be his many achievements over the past 4 years. He mentions the pandemic only briefly in the context of Operation Warp Speed, helping to develop vaccines in 9 months. He does not acknowledge that he lost a fair election to Joe Biden, but he does address the fact that there will be a new president.
We did what we came here to do, and so much more. This week, we inaugurate a new administration and pray for its success in keeping America safe and prosperous. We extend our best wishes, and we also want them to have luck, a very important word. The Trumps will leave Washington early tomorrow morning, choosing not to attend the Biden inauguration. Security in Washington is unlike anything we have seen before. 25,000 members of the National Guard are deployed, but 12 members of the Guard have been removed from duty because of what authorities call questionable behavior. Officials have been worried about inside plots against the government in general and Joe Biden in particular. There are also security measures in place beyond Washington, for instance, in Philadelphia. Action News reporter Annie McCormick is live at Independence Mall. Annie?
And Jim, at the end of last week, officials in the tri-state area began ramping up security measures ahead of Inauguration Day. Since then, they haven't had any issues, but expect to see more security around historical sites like Independence Mall come tomorrow. On the eve of Inauguration Day, cities across the country are adding security precautions, and even though there are no specific threats to Philadelphia, safety is on tourists' minds.
The historical significance of it, absolutely.
We felt safe enough to bring our kids.
We saw lots of helicopters as we were kind of heading out of the D.C. area and National Guardsmen. We've never been to Philadelphia before, but definitely I noticed, lots of crowds of officers when we were kind of coming into this part of the city.
This Texas couple arrived to Washington for the inauguration, but with D.C. on lockdown, they drove here to Philadelphia to see historic sites. Landmarks like Independence Hall have extra law enforcement attention. This family lives in Washington and came here as an escape, noting the vast differences in security.
This is nothing. This is very calm and relaxing.
An alarming FBI memo circulated last week warning of armed protests in all 50 state capitals from January 16th through at least Inauguration Day. The memo followed the deadly violence at the nation's capital on January 6th. Across the tri-state area, local, state, and federal officials, plus the National Guard, are in place. The tri-state area capital cities have remained mostly quiet. Harrisburg saw only a few pro-Trump supporters and anti-Trump protesters over the weekend. Yesterday in Dover, there was a small group of peaceful protesters contesting the election. In Trenton, New Jersey, they saw no activity. And Jim, over the past several nights, we have seen Philadelphia police officers continuously patrolling in this area. Also, they have activated the Office of Emergency Management Command Center, but at this point, the threat level remains the same and is not elevated. For now, reporting live on Independence Mall, Annie McCormick, Channel 6 Action News. Jim.
Thank you, Annie. World News Tonight with David Muir. We'll have more on this, the eve of the Biden inauguration. That is next at 6:30, right after Action News. And coming up on Action News tonight, President-elect Biden taps Pennsylvania Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine for his administration. Ahead, reaction to this historic selection. Plus, are the Eagles any closer to finding a coach? And the Phillies get set to head south for spring training. Can you believe it, Cecily?
Well, Jim, we hit a relatively mild high of 45 degrees today, but colder air is on the way, and Storm Tracker 6 live double scan showing that cold front will likely also bring us some snow showers. All the details on the timing in the AccuWeather 70 forecast.
Those stories and much more when Action News continues tonight.
Closed caption sponsored by Ocean First Bank. Now introducing freestyle checking with no fees, no balance requirements, and unlimited ATMs. Whatever your style, freestyle checking fits. Open yours today.
We have come to know her through her daily briefings during the COVID pandemic. Today we learned that Pennsylvania Secretary of Health, Dr. Rachel Levine, has been appointed Assistant Health Secretary by President-elect Biden. She will be the first out transgender federal official to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. We get more from Action News reporter Katherine Scott.
As President-elect Joe Biden prepares to leave for Washington, D.C., word came down from his office about the nomination for Pennsylvania Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine. Tomorrow is Inauguration Day, and today, President-elect Joe Biden departs Wilmington for our nation's capital.
I'm excited we're having somebody new in the office.
Early this morning, we learned the Pennsylvania Health Secretary, Dr. Rachel Levine, is nominated to serve as Assistant Secretary for Health at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Levine would be the first openly transgender federal official to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate.
I am definitely someone who thinks that diversity is important. I think it's a hard thing to achieve. It requires intentional decision making.
There is diversity in what he's doing and who he's appointing, but it's required, it's necessary, otherwise the divisions will continue.
Dr. Levine has become a familiar presence with her briefings throughout the pandemic. She graduated from Harvard College and the Tulane School of Medicine, completing her training at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York. Dr. Levine was confirmed 3 times by the Republican-controlled state Senate to serve as Secretary of Health and the state's Physician General. In a statement, President-elect Biden said, in part, she is a historic and deeply qualified choice to help lead our administration's health efforts. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris called Levine a remarkable public servant with the knowledge and experience to help us contain this pandemic and protect and improve the health and well-being of the American people. After the send-off here in Wilmington this afternoon, Biden and Harris will head to Washington, D.C. This evening, they'll attend a memorial honoring those who lost their lives to COVID-19. In Wilmington, Katherine Scott, Channel 6 Action News.
And this afternoon, Dr. Rachel Levine issued a statement about her history-making nomination. She said, quote, I am proud of the work that we have done as an administration to address health equity and the work I have done personally to raise awareness about LGBTQ equity issues. And she added, I look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve Pennsylvanians and all Americans as part of the Biden administration if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed to this position.